Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.
लेट्स गो, चालू हो गया। अब अच्छा अरे यार ये लाइट बंद कर दे दो, 1 मिनट बस। है अरे यहाँ पे भी हूँ मैं। आवाज आ रही है इसमें? इसमें भी नहीं आ रही, रुको 1 मिनट। अरे हाँ आप भी आए। चलो देखते लाइव पार्टी कौन जीता आज फाइनल्स। हम तो डिस्कॉर्ड में बैठ गए हैं। वो लोग नहीं आए रे यार, अरे इधर से जरा कम कर देता हूँ। हाँ आप भी देखो। या चैट चैट में लिखो। मैंने ये नहीं लगाया यार। अकेले लिखते भाई।
Time slows down when it can get no worse. Wishing there was something left to lose. This could be the day I die for you.
live this life, no one survive you.
Welcome back once again to the grand finals of Valorant Champions. I'm back on the desk with Sean, Riv, and Jess. Let's talk about the nuances of this best of 5. In the past, we've seen teams have massive advantages, particularly through the ban phase. We saw Gambit, forced to that, forced to play
Kal
Haven, back at
अच्छी
Masters
थी
3. But Sean, this time
Gambit.
around, things are a little different.
Yeah, things are a lot different. Now we have 7 maps, guys. We have Fracture
go.
added into the pool.
ये
So when we get
लेज
into
में
this
भाई
grand final
क्या
stage where
रहता है
it's a best
इसको
of 5,
प्रॉब्लम
both
इतना
teams
बड़ा
will
लेज
get
का
a
बकेट
veto.
और इतना
So they'll get to ban out a map that they think they're really weak on, or the other team is super strong on. And in a sense case, dear God, are they strong on Bind, Riv. They've won countless matches in a row, and they actually 13-0'd Gambit at Red Bull home ground.
Yeah, they were having a lot of fun spicing up those maps in Red Bull.
Yeah.
Here we have, unfortunately, Bind
This is-
torched
yeah.
immediately, banned out.
This is interesting because I've never seen Gambit ban anything else other than Haven. But, Jess, in this scenario, we might not even see Haven anyway because Ascent also don't like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, get rid of the worst devil of them all, and that's going to be, Bind there. For me, Haven coming out is not a surprise as well. The 2 bans I expected coming in are gone, but let us not forget, this is a best of 5. You essentially have to be good at almost every single map except for 2, and then you were hoping that you'll get those maps in an order that will sort of be a little bit more praising of the way that you go on those maps, so the first 3 at the very least.
Yeah, and Breeze is locked in straight away for Gambit. No surprises there, Sean.
No surprise at all. Both of these teams, though, are actually very, very good on
Yes.
Breeze, and this is CNET's playground. He dominates the map.
This map goes to operators as fast as possible for both of your operators.
Yes.
And whoever is lacking that, I feel like is going to start dropping rounds right away. This game is going to be protecting your operators and making sure those long angles are always held.
Ooh, I love Ascent as well. Ascent's one of my favorite maps to watch overall. Outside of Breeze and the long-range maps like Icebox and stuff, I'm a big operator fan, so of course I look there. But when you get onto Ascent, I feel like there's so much strategy that comes into play in utility usage. That's why I'm going to be looking to there. Maybe we go from map 1, the ops, to map 2, the utility.
The utility usage is something special because Zeke, who's the top performer on Ascent, not CNET, it's Zeke. He plays the KO on Ascent.
Let's go.
And he was tearing it off assist-wise. He gets so much value out of his utility.
For Ascent as well, Gambit had the no duelist comp. Are they going to run that again? And we see Fracture now coming in.
And we're not going to have a chance to avoid it. That's what I didn't want. I didn't want it to go into like the last
Me
couple
too,
of
me
maps
too.
and then like we have maybe not a possibility of seeing it. You are guaranteed to see Fracture in the finals, baby. Let's go.
Is this the first time we've seen Breeze and Fracture in a series? Because people seem to have, they either lean towards one or the other, but having both in the first 3 maps is going to be incredible. But Icebox, Sean, is next for Ascent.
Yeah, it's a map that both of these teams have kind of strayed away from. Their map pools are very similar other than Bind. I think this is a great draft right now from Ascent because I would actually give them the edge on Icebox.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about it earlier, just off the desk, in that Nats does not have the same effect as he did when he was in Berlin. We're seeing people have actually focused that, and his encroachment into defending positions or attacking, depending on what side he is not working as much.
I mean, remember what Vikings did to them? Let us not forget that they were struggling to work it out. And every time Vikings went up to like attack spawn and whatnot, they just looked. They flicked across and like, is Nats there? Is Nats in spawn? Yes, he is. Good night. And he had to keep sort of moving himself across the map, and he couldn't lurk the way he wanted to lurk. So shut down on that map. I'm excited for this. This is looking good so far.
Yeah, and Split will be left until the last 1 or 2. So we got Breeze, Ascent, Fracture, Icebox, Split. Looking at the bans though, Riv, it feels like Gambit being able to take away the Bind and Haven for them is great. It's a great start.
It has to feel good because we've seen how aggressive they are on the other maps, where they actually position and prioritize what Chronicle will be doing. If Defo can just get that operator as well. Shados has been stepping up. So the way that the maps work out for them means that they can play their own game and they don't have to be reserved and almost play to the level of Ascent on Bind or
But
Haven.
I'm going to say this, guys. If they banned Haven instead of Fracture, Ascent has not played Fracture all tournament. tournament. What does
Yeah.
that say about their fracture? They must feel very comfortable with it to float that in this best of 5.
Yeah,
You say that, but they were talking about the counter strategies. I'm wondering whether or not they're not playing their own game anymore. They saw what happened with Liquid. They saw how successful it was to counter their opponent. Do they just, because they've already seen it, just go, we know exactly what you do. Here's the agents that will combat that. Here's what we do. And good night, we shut you down before you begin.
Well, let's see what they can do a little bit later. The maps are in, but before we welcome the players to the stage, let's take one last look at the journey that brought them to the Champions Grand Finals.
To be honest, after that game, I'm emotional right now.
No one believed in us. We proved ourselves.
I have to forget about what just happened. I have to think only about the opponents.
We're just gonna show them who is Ascent.
मजा आने वाला है ग्रैंड फाइनल से
Grand finals, I don't know if I can put it in words. You just have like constant adrenaline just pumping. Mentally, I am totally ready to win champions, but the job's not yet finished.
They're the strongest opponents right now. On this match, we can show our max potential.
It's gonna be a hard match for them, not like in semi-final. Just understand that history is still writing. We will come as the first champions. We'll see what will happen.
जो
Both sides of the wall, Liquid died. He's holding up high. He's got Zeke. Oh, this guy is absolutely unbelievable here for Ascend. The shot out of Defo. Defo keeps on bragging as they come around the corner. He's there, and he's gonna get all 5.
हाय रुक आ रहा था यार मैच देख रहा हूँ फाइनल है ना आज टेंशन आजा डिस्कॉर्ड बेंचन
Wow, an entire year worth of blood, sweat, and tears has led to this moment, guys. One of these teams will be making history today by lifting the trophy as the first ever winners of Valorant champions. They're going to go down in history book, guys. Nobody's ever going to forget whichever team wins today.
God, that trophy is so epic. I can't wait to see it.
Don't take it away! Bring it back!
I saw them pull it out of the case. It was like buffed with all of this like bubble wrap and soft kind of stuff, and he pulls it out. And as he pulls it out like a baby, he caresses it. Whoever picks it up at the end, they got to be ready to be able to hoist that heavy thing.
I also want to say that I don't think I've ever seen a grand finals of any esports tournament where the two IGLs come out hugging arm in arm like they're best friends walking down the park or something. But it goes to show, you know, how much camaraderie and respect they have for each other.
I can't imagine that they are coming in underestimating each other at all. What they've seen throughout each other's play, what this means to them, a year's long worth of work going into these games. They're leaving nothing to chance.
Friends out of the server, Insu.
Yes.
Absolute enemies in the server.
I don't think they'll leave anything at the front door, that's for sure. They want this. Both of them want this. And I think they gave the warning that what they went through in the semi-finals is not what they should expect in the grand finals.
Oh yeah, looking forward to see any dance routines on the side of stars. So let's see what you're going to bring out today. A lot of sheeshes we're hearing behind us. But let's talk about the first map. Because we are heading into the Prime Gaming Agent Select. It's unlikely, Sean, that either teams are going to switch things up after the success they've had here.
No, yeah, I don't think we're going to see any surprises here in the finals unless we get it from Ascent. Gambit, like I said earlier, they didn't have much time to change things. So yeah, we're seeing the try.
Oh, okay. We are seeing something different. Chronicle is back on the Killjoy. He was playing the Sky for the last two breezes here, and now he has said already publicly he prefers to play Killjoy here.
That's very interesting because he's had so much success in this initiator role, the top performer on the team and the only player on Gambit in the top 10 in ACS.
You know what this does really well? One, Ascend, I've already, you know, praised them for having one that throws a wrench in it. Number two, Chronicle is in the zone. This sets a precedent for a map that we won't expect because Ascend will have prepped for something completely different here.
Being able to bring out something new here, I think it trends for Ascend to be like, hey, we're not going to focus on what our team's playing because that's what can happen, right? You don't want to be going for a loop if you're expecting a Cypher or something to be in that position all the time. So I love the fact that Gambit can pull that out, and maybe it will throw Ascend for us.
And meanwhile, on Ascend, the tried and true, right? Zeke locking in that KO, and I mentioned he was banging all tournament with KO. Going into the semis, guys, he was the #1 player in assists. That means his KO was through the roof. He was suppressing everyone. His timings with the 0 point have been so good. The pre-0 points over elbow on
And it's something they brought in since Masters 3.
Yeah. This is a new look.
Yeah, I wonder if this is done specifically to counter that KO. Who knows? But before we jump into game, I need to know the final prediction from you guys. Who are you backing to win this series? Jess has the curse right now, so I'll start with you.
Oh no! And the reason I've gone with this prediction is because I love both of these teams. I love all the players, but I really think the support staff is behind Ascend right now. All the counter strategies. As an ex-analyst and coach myself, I'm going to throw my hats to them. So I'm going with Ascend. You guys, let's see if the work has gone through today.
Wow, Riv?
Looking at how far they've come, what they've been able to strength in this tournament, they may not have played as many rounds as Gambit so far, but I am locking in Ascend for this one. Rise, Ascend, rise! A little bit more, break through any other ceilings that you hit.
This side of the desk?
Let's see what you got.
Yes.
Sean?
Yeah. I hate to do this because I think the game is so 50-50, but Ascend were my dark horse coming into this tournament, and man, have they lived up to my expectations. I'm sticking with Ascend.
Let's go!
I think they're taking this series, but this is the only opponent that will test them, right?
Okay,
Liquid didn't keep the maps close, so Ascend didn't even have the option to choke. Gambit will not have that same thing happen.
Serious firepower.
Gambit doesn't choke either. God, this was such a difficult decision for me.
Yeah, same.
I mean, looking at the 5 maps, do we feel like this is the first grand final where we're going to actually go to 5 maps?
I think it's so possible. It's very,
especially
very
with
likely.
what we're seeing here. Both teams come in not with their favorites, and they have to push into these 50-50 maps that both teams don't have an attack side or defensive advantage on. You definitely see 5.
Well, the desk are very Ascend heavy here. Turkey are going to love you guys for that. But it's time for us to jump into Breeze with your casters for today. It's Pansy and Hypok.
ये कौन सा मैप है? रुको मैं गेस करता हूँ.
Okay, we are being presented with such a treat in front of us.
Jai
Now,
Maharashtra,
I have to
बीच
put
में क्या
it
Jai
quite
Maharashtra?
bluntly here. We've seen a great deal of Gambit. They've had to show a good amount of depth throughout this event. Ascend have been toiling away in the shadows. Not many people paying mind to them as they rightly should be. Where do you stand?
It's really interesting, and again, seeing the journey of Ascend, this is almost kind of the second coming of Ascend, right? We had that almost dip, you could call it, throughout the mid-year, and Gambit obviously rose towards the end of the year here. But Ascend have actually fixed some of the issues you'd have with a concern coming into this matchup, particularly against Gambit.
Well, deep breaths, everyone. We are 10 seconds away from starting up here. And again, we've talked about the art of greatness throughout this entire event, time and time again. Remember, great moments are born from great opportunity that these both now have. Gambit on the attacking side, Ascend on the defending side. And we're right into this.
Oh, yeah, actually, the Trailblazer straight up elbow. So trying to follow it up here. Michael just sitting tight in nest right now, but it's a heavy lean towards B's site here on the side of Ascend. Actually, they're going to be able to avoid this owl drone here, but I see that's going to take first contact. Deals with Defo immediately.
Yeah, a little bit of a return fire from Shados, but it's quick and it's Ascend. Really sending a stark message to begin with. 2 quick kills and you lose out on Defo and Shados. 2 big instigators on the attacking side. So now looking at what's left. Nats, Redgar, Chronicle. A tough predicament to be presented with, and now a last minute Aileen. Now the spike is on the way. You can see Nats slowly closing in towards Killers. Killers better be aware that he's not so safe, and you can see that paranoia starting to build.
Nats tagged up a little bit, actually going to get a confirmation here, but also going to hear out these steps in spawn. You have to relay that information, so Nats got a lot to deal with here. If they swing together, he's going to get detected here as well.
Yeah, he's going to be noted pretty quickly. Redgar's gone down. Nats is only good for 1. It's on Chronicle now, and a 1v4, and it's gone quickly. Ascend, hey, let's talk about this now. That's 4 standing, that's confidence building. This is a perfect beginning in map 1.
And again, we're coasting through that. The perfect setup again, anticipating Gambit showing a little presence towards B, and actually the pistol round in particular, but potentially towards the side of the top, which is always important. Again, on Breeze, you got to consider that rotation factor. Again, now it's going to give them the opportunity to, I guess on some of these buy rounds, explore mid, and maybe get a little bit aggressive, stop Gambit in their tracks, but again, just looking clean. It's almost like they're completely anticipating that hit and they're set up perfect for it.
Now, when you see Breeze, though, and you see Ascend, my mind goes, funny enough, to 100 Thieves. Right? Is it just me?
I'm glad we've got there so early, because that's, again, probably the biggest stumble throughout the year.
Was that a quarterfinal, I believe, in Berlin last time around, where everyone suddenly went, oh, wait.
Should have been a 9-3.
Should have.
It was an 8-4, and then 100 Thieves, we all know how that one ended. Again, one of the craziest comebacks I think we've seen.
Absolutely. But this has to then echo a little bit of something for Ascend. There has to be that little bit of worry in the mind, but with every single frag that comes in for them right now, it's looking clean. But there's a crunch coming in through towards that B side. Starzo's just fine, though. He can fall back, hopefully wait for some support. There are 3 players looking for angles, and he's finding every single answer to them so far. That's with a good shot, but it's a 1v3, and it's not looking so likely. Caught in the heels and put to bed by CNED. It's 2 on the board, and Ascend keep 3 alive.
We'll carry some of that momentum across, some early progress towards the Viper's Pit. Starzo. See what they can get done here. And again, this is another opportunity where potentially Ascend now can quick Gambit ahead of a site hit. And Viper will actually invested pretty early on here. That's going to be an indicator. We can see the setup here. The 4-man lean towards A. And Body's in position again, and look towards Zeke here in a pivotal position, holding onto the stairs here to make sure that Nats once again deep into halls.
ऐसे ही अच्छा तुल खेलता है.
See the walk, yeah. Defo's battle will rage on as long as Bone doesn't overextend. Let's see if there's impact elsewhere. It's going to put into a tough scenario having to deal with this push coming up. 2 players going to turn the screws on it. Nats doing Nats thing, says hello. Starzo, are you going to try and play Viper against me? That's crazy. For now, though, Gambit are doing well. They're keeping the rifles in the right place, and they're not really falling foul to any of these little bits of trickery. Now, yes, maybe CNED with a rifle could find a bit of work here. Spike is down, though, and Bone Cold gets caught. So now CNED left in a bit of a spot of bother.
He's a little tagged up, so he's going to look to do some damage. Shadows just got himself tucked all the way into defender's spawn. All 3 members of Gambit. No danger as of yet. Again, just look at that. It's something that we see Nats become more and more comfortable doing, right? It's a walk up, it's a pick up. Yeah, actually, this is on the first shade off. We'll clean it up. But again, Nats is, again, it's so brazen, right? It's almost like that pressure comes through on Halls. It's noted by Bonecod. I'm pretty sure he's comfortable in calling 2 out there with Trailblazer as well. And Nats just walks up, literally walks up. And Green Stars are on default. There's not really an awful lot in terms of setup there that Ascend changed other than playing a little deeper, right? They give up sight and potentially, I guess, regress towards double doors, try and retake that space on Halls, but... And here's seen it now on the operator. Early, actually, round 4 here. Revealing area.
Off to a good start, though, for himself, so why not? But let's see what the adjustment, if there is one, coming out from Gambit, if they consider this a possibility. But already going to give away somewhat of the game, trying to play it through elbow, but Shados gets a freebie. Bonecod going to be livid with that. Shadows going to try and power forward. Yeah, oh, he almost got Killers as well. Finest of margins here, but they actually peel away from this.
You feel a bit of pressure, and actually you can see here Chronicles found some space towards double doors. You're absolutely right, Lauren.
I wonder if audio cues have been heard, maybe even spotting stars, or maybe not, maybe just the intuition kicking in, but he has to facilitate this somewhat, and timing is on his side. They've just about spotted each other. Utility goes down, I think, towards either site or main, so they're aware the hit's going to be leaning this way. They can leave CNED lingering towards that B site, as now Chronicles starts to build through. Lovely work from him. Good spray, no connect, but it's Redguard to find it. So now the site should at least be available enough, and Chronicle will overextend.
The tricky spot here. Hunter's Fury actually going to get sent through from Redguard. He actually found a tag inside back at Halls. He did. Keyless will fall. Just he can see Ned to try and recover this now.
I don't see Gambit getting overzealous. I don't think they're going to overpeak on this. I think they're going to sit real keen, play this smart, and not give away any opportunities. Just a little jump peek, that's enough. Just reassure positioning. What? Zeke? 2 kills out of nowhere, and suddenly this round becomes a little bit more viable, but time is the biggest problem. Oh my word, Zeke. Is this when you're going to step up and deliver? But it's going to be Chronicle. The bottom line, Zeke! The timing, I don't think he's going to have the time. Surely! Surely! Oh my god, Zeke has just destroyed them!
That was absolutely insane from Zeke. Landing absolutely everything.
Gambit were halfway out the door. Gambit were like, we're fine, we're absolutely fine, and then this happens.
Oh my god. I can't believe, again, like you said, Chronicles, look at this on the X-Ray. Chronicles like, yeah, surely they've not got away back on site. Zeke actually got off the defuse there before the half. Again, at that point you think, well, yeah, you don't get the half there, it's done for. What an insane round from Zeke. And again, Sean touched on this, he's looked so comfortable on this KO. There's almost like a late round component for Ascend, which is something previously lacking, right? It was all about that initial aggression for Ascend.
And look, how many times have we told the story of CNED and Starzo and a couple of the other players, and Zeke was this hot prospect who got picked up and we were waiting to see if he could activate, find that role, and he's found more than that already. And you've got to say, losing a 2v4, 5 almost there, that's going to be a tilter for Gambit. Let's see if they can keep that known composure, but Zeke ain't stopping. He's right back at it. Just straight on to Chronicle. He's feeling this game. He's got that hot hand where everything makes sense, but a quick piece in towards the B site. Now, we already know there's one player here. Killers does find one, and Defo's none the wiser. He's got away with murder from this corner. A free little upgrade as well, leaving Nats and Redgar with nothing to do but die, surely. Yeah, Nats is on one side of the map, but look what the spike is.
And unretrievable now. You can see already the body's in place. 4 people here to hold on to it. And again, just Zeke comes through, throws the fragment in, deals with the lockdown. That protects the Viper's pit set up towards A main, forces Gambit's hand in terms of this rotation. They get punished for it. Really nice crossfire from Bonecod and Keyless. CNED will find Redgar. Nats, the last one to come. 20 seconds, a 1v4.
Well, Zeke's shown that there's possibilities, but I think that Nats knows with that Spike's positioning, they're going to swarm that. Unretrievable. And Ascend.
10 seconds left.
You couldn't ask for a better start. Let's roll it back, right? Let's talk bigger picture now, because I think Gambit we've looked at considerably. And no matter the scenario, there's always a chance with them, right? They are one of the true tested teams who consistently find that ability to run it back into the game, no matter the scoreline. Ascend, I'm still unsure if they can do that grind back, but do they have to?
The problem being, I think, throughout this year, you've looked at Ascend and thought, yeah, very fast and loose again. How much can they replicate that in terms of, teams that don't match up? And Gambit, I think, is actually one of those examples you say they play so slow that it could cause a lot of problems for Ascend, right? They burn out very quickly in the early round. But one of the things Ascend have really tightened up is their late round, their audible calling. And again, it comes back to Zeke in terms of this utility cycle, and he's such a huge factor in that regard.
Well, it'll be Zeke and Killers. Oh, towards the B side. No early note of player, but speaking of them towards the B side, we've got to look towards those double doors. Push out comes in from Ascend, takes a little bit of an early battle, but don't overcommit, fall away. Now utility gets noted and the push looks like it's coming in. It's a bit of a shaky buy. Nat's the only one really with a rifle, and Killers still just keeps away. How is he not getting noted at this point? So many rounds, he's getting away from these dirty little angles. All comes in, and Killers right back. That's his site, and you are not getting into it. Spike once again down behind enemy lines, over a minute on the board. Where do they find any avenue in here?
Again, that's the Spectre and the rifle removed from Gambit. Spike again on site. The one thing actually Gambit had going for them there is getting onto site, finding that Viper's pit, but Keeler Shadows the last man standing, Sheriff in hand. Again, at this point,
हाँ ना भाई ये घुस रहा है कौन है
it's not a massive dent.
कब से बोल रहा है भाई ये कौन है ब्लॉक कर दूंगा आप भी से ब्लॉक करो इसका चैनल.
Again, that's when it's
Good
scary.
timer out.
If they can dig their heels in, they look so comfortable when they're set up to greet any team. Once they hit that site, again, the way they
आज का बैन लग गया इसे मार के.
Awkward little angles.
कौन है
it just looks
घुस
so
राइडर?
comfortable for them.
I feel like we saw that in the semi-final to get here.
You know, it was so apparent versus Liquid, because Liquid wanted to play slow, they wanted to play, and again, every single time, Ascend looked dominant in the late round. Shadows would actually find two.
And I do want to remind people, like, let's say you've only just really started paying attention to Valorant and you've seen this rise of Gambit. There was a king before them. There was another team in EMEA who was constantly towards the top that beat Heretics at the start, and it was Ascend. And these guys somewhat fell into the shadows, I'd say, during that quarterfinal loss, couple of underperformances.
Yes, I know.
But now we've seen this rekindling of that fire.
Well, the big thing was, and I think you look at previously, it was underwhelming. From what we knew regionally of Ascend, and we saw the peaks, right? We saw the ceiling for this team, and translating that is always difficult. Again, experience is something you have to consider. I know in that 100 Thieves matchup, the number of times.
How often can we say it?
Yeah, the number of times I think in high pressure scenario, Ascend actually fumbled a massive lead there, and actually getting to match point, I think having 5 opportunities to close that out. And those are the things that do become very concerning. Now, this time around, it's a completely different monster. Like they
this
have
is night and day.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and hey, this is a marathon. This isn't a sprint. It's best of 5 times, so it's a longer series. I don't want to ever just lean away from Gambit. That's stupid.
Well, this is the thing. Later in the series, you lean back towards favourite Gambit. Again, they're not the ones that choke. They pull off these mammoth comebacks. And again, you talk about a comeback versus Ascend. If they don't start strong and set themselves up for success, that's when Ascend looks shakiest. And it's not necessarily even a CNET factor, right? We've talked about other series where CNET's, I guess, on paper, not delivered. And you always think about, oh, CNET will drop 30, give him an up in round 3, it's all good. But that's when the concerns start building, because Gambit, they never give up.
No, they are relentless.
They come back in with 50 rounds when they're like 7 rounds down, and that's the one that turns an entire map.
We can get into that if it becomes apparent, because you talk about in-game leadership, you talk about the coaching element. There's a lot of factors beyond just the players on the screen right now. But 5-1, Ascend are sending rather poignant statement. Already Seeker's going to come out, though, so Gambit are not wasting any time here. A quick mid-piece, looks like they want to set the tone. What? And Cena just doesn't like the song they're singing. Already with a connection towards Shados, it's committed down to Nats, Redgar, and Defo. But look at the space, they've garnered a fair amount here. But already Zeke seems hyper-cognizant of it. He's already watching this push through.
And again, Cena's picked up a different angle altogether. Defo's looking to close the distance here onto Cena in particular, but see actually the spike making its way back over towards A. Still 2 players on the side of Ascend to greet this A main push if it does come.
And they still haven't cleared or noted Bone Cold. He's going to sit
They
there
have
quietly.
to re-explore, exactly. There's so many like dirty little angles they can find. Nat's actually going to get found with the spike inside. Hall's that one.
Oh no, the opportunity might have just slipped through his fingers. He keeps control of it for now. Defo does well to get away with that. That was actually looking very one-sided, but now down to the 3v2. Redgar and Defo still trying to find that spike and build it back through. They're trying to isolate Starzo, who's on the stairs. That could be a catch-off, and it is. Good pick from Redgar there, but look who's been waiting the entire time. He kept calm under pressure. Bone Cold being ice cold, and there is CNED. Starts the round, ends the round, and we carry on. Ascend, keep powering forward.
Again, it's almost like it's just coming down to 1 or 2 aim fights here, and unfortunately can't get the response that would convert into side control and stuff like that. Again,
सेकंड का
see so much
ban लग गया
variation
तो
of-
जब
right.
Yeah, okay.
देख तू
Yeah,
सब
okay.
तू
Yeah,
बोल
just
कौन
must
है
be
तो
nice.
इतना
Run that one another 3 times
चाहिए
if possible.
He's quite good at this game, isn't he?
Yeah.
And
Well, if that's the CNED we get today, again, we come back to concerns, right?
We
And
do, we
there's
do.
a lot of pressure on a player that's come under a bit of flack, and it's
Absolutely.
Defo, right? It's the opposite number.
And I will be the first to say Defo on land looks completely different to how he does online sometimes. But he does now need to find it against a superstar. CNED is a superstar in this game, and Defo, I need to see a little bit of that jet magic coming from him. But the side, a very patient hold, a very deep hold. Starzo sitting back by Tribox. They've got a very deep post-plant positioning potentially, or maybe with that Hunter's Fury, they feel like they want to lean towards that a little more. But Defo's going exploring, and he finds nothing that he wanted.
अरे तू है
Starzo
भाई
still holding a good amount of
तुझे भी
territory
अभी
there.
ban
That
कर
ult coming in
दूंगा
as considered, doesn't get everything, but Starzo
मालूम है
does.
तू मैच
Sin
देख
looks so polished. Nats, you've got a 1v5 and a Spectre. How lucky you're feeling. The diffuse has already come in. I don't think you do anything about this one. Ascend are looking like a different beast right now. Everything is going their way.
It is. And again, Nats has shown a presence a couple of times in Halls there. He's looking to be kind of a late round piece, but setting up
अरे
playing
सब
distance, it
मालूम
almost
है
looks
अभी,
awkward there.
जा
Defo, I
छोड़।
think, oversteps the mark slightly, but he's desperate to find that open. He's desperate
ये
to
कौन
try
है
and
मालूम
weaken
नहीं
this
मुझे
hold that
भाई
Ascend
पागल
have
जैसा
on a site. Starzo just swings through here.
And can we just highlight for a moment, they just made that look easy against Gambit. And no one makes anything look easy
They literally
against Gambit.
strolled back onto the site there.
And they seem so hyper aware that that was the way they wanted to play it. You already had Starzo back at Tribox, sitting super passive, patiently playing off the back of the ult. And we've seen this mid piece before, but they're being a little bit more patient with it this time. Maybe a little bit of a different look, maybe an adjustment from Gambit. Rifles back out, Defo on the op. Money is there.
Trade-off of information here.
भाई कश्यप
The
वाला
Alberans.
कश्यप वाइंस वाला को unsubscribe कर दो भाई
Avoid this spam as best he can. Lots being invested to try and clear him out here, actually. Be able to slip back through. Spike not committed this time, so expecting Gambit to just solely try and work a pick here. That sort of slow default we've come to expect.
Yeah, that poised nature coming out from Gambit. But does this...
This is where Ascend have got great. They're taking this space now. Again, now the rotation comes through
Towards
from
A main,
Chronicle.
yes.
The alarm bot's removed. The turret's still there. Whether or not it's actually going to spot anything. Just wait and see it gets dealt with here. So Gambit now.
गैम्बिट बहुत ये कर
Doubling
रहे
back
हैं
on 50, on 30 seconds, you can't do anything about it. So now keep your eye towards the likes of Zeke, who sat towards the corner here. Still has flashes. Killers can't watch his cross anymore, so he's a little isolated. But Killers has got a feeling someone's close by. And he's not wrong, and he still gets a surprise on one. Great trade from Defo. Great clear from Defo. How's he found this little bit of momentum? Nats pushes forward, secures CT. Bone Cold from the backside does at least get one, but now it's down to two. CNED and Bone Cold spike. Yet to go down. Where is this? Hold on, 5 seconds. CNED just has to live. Nats, can you find the final player? Bone Cold's out of there. That's the worst game of hide and seek Nats has ever played.
Again, in a round like that, Gambit have all the indicators of what's going to happen and when. I think actually the turret is dealt with by Defo. He has to deal with that so that the information's not given over. And still, they're too slow to react
Defo
here.
doing this?
Yeah.
Look at this. This shot. The site's yours. You've got to feel that's our first big chance. You know, where's the spike plant from this? How are they still able to deny so much space?
It comes back. Again, Ascend have tightened up loads of these scenarios where in a late round, you know, they just get bombarded, overwhelmed on sides, but being proactive towards Cave and towards Shop, they're clearing that space, they're having information early enough.
Look at the pace
to send
change.
an extra.
Hold on, they're just going to be hammering the nails into the coffin. Bone Cold with a good start. Nats did at least quell Zeke, but it was an effective trade. Bone Cold's not stopping either. He's seen everything now. He's got so much information to play with. He doesn't have to be worried about this. Redgar can't do much about it. He can maybe stay alive a second longer, but then look at Starzo. Again, propping himself up, super close contact on that A-site piece if they fancy it. But putting a lot of faith right now in Killers. Considering that Cena's hit that rotation on the ladder, Bone Cold, that's 3. Finally handled by Redgar. But a 2v3, where'd you take this?
It will swing back up here, Mike.
Oh no!
Oh no, a little bit
He's
of a
had a
fat
nightmare.
finger there.
He's had a nightmare. Look, it's finals, alright? We're all nervous. We saw nothing. We'll move on. Yeah, it's fine. And hello, that's another pixel out of place. So again, these fact-finding missions that Ascendant want to go on are interesting, but as Killers read this rotation, it's kind of ring-a-ring-rosy, right? So you're going to have a really weird position from Starzo, and it looks like they've almost flipped sides. Now the ult comes in, so at least should facilitate the point. Oh, he has no idea. Right underneath him, death from above. Gonna find Chronicle, deny the lockdown, invest the ult, and now looks towards the final player. Redgar, what do you have for us? You've been impeccable this event, but you've got to find something here. Give me a reason to believe, because at the moment I'm really not on board. Starzo the first to fall, and now the 1v1, it's Killers! He's just the back line to so many of these rounds.
He really is. And again, you talk about the start of the year, Kilo's obviously doing the rounds in terms of agents now coming to his own in this role, and he's bailed to send out so many times. So many times in terms of lurking, in terms of being the last alive.
So what do Gambit need to do here? I'm posing you a horrible question, but theory craft me something, please, because it's 9-1.
Again, at this point, I don't think really Ascender feeling any pressure. We talk back again to the variation. Some of these setups is drifting one player kind of being the anomaly. Gambit right now, in terms of information gathering, the early round's just not going their way. They're not finding kind of any space to exploit, anything that will give them any opportunity to convert towards site control, like I'd already said. Gambit playing this, I got to say, a little too passively in terms of the expectations of what Ascender are going to try and achieve.
I'm seeing CNED going walkabouts.
Yeah, early round. Again, they're getting so much info off this, Lauren.
Now there is a bit of a response in that tube pressure that's coming in. But CNED is feeling confident. He has the line of sight. And he's just having a run of things here. Bone Cold as well gets a challenge, but gets overwhelmed. Gambit with the 2 players come through. Zeke with the underhand flash. It's good, but it's not great. Gambit finally getting the frags they need. The pace looking much better. More deliberate in approaches now. It's just Starzo. Say just Starzo. See what he can get done. Spike's being safely carried across towards the B side, taken away from his last known position.
Guy.
Looks for a mistake. A foot out of place, an over peak. Be your first challenge if you went CT would have been Nats. Not an easy target to try and displace. And there's the spike.
ये इसका जीत रही है भाई.
Spike planted.
You got a very, very deep setup here as well. Gambit, I'm absolutely sure they dragged this one across the line. As far as I can find any damage here. Just considering just saving this out, but again, coming back to that, with Chronicle, again, I know talking about comfort picks and whatnot, not feeling comfortable on the sky, but right here you see, as soon as CNED drifts into elbow there, they spot the turret, and it's almost like that rotation comes through straight away. You see Zeke and Keyless both making their way back through spawn. They read it perfectly. Gambit are almost kind of giving away exactly what they want to try and achieve in the early round, and send time and time again and just send in one body. Like I said, it's so hard to deal with, especially if these players that are in rotation are catching a member of Gambit here and there. This,
lovely.
I think, just comes down to a couple of gunfights that Gambit are granted. Almost, you don't want to say that sloppy on the side of Ascend, but if they're not given that, I feel like Ascend still have a good read on exactly where Gambit are positioned.
Here we go again. Cena, the aggression isn't going to be just once, it's going to be followed up on. He's taking space in middle and he's not alone. He's got 2 players behind him, 3 if you want to throw in Zeke to that equation. And look at Gambit, super deep in this approach, taking space towards A, but everyone else holding that mid presence. Nat's going to invest the ult. Now Starzo knows that he's going to be really on a platter here. Tricky for him to survive. Can he do anything with it? The answer, pretty resoundingly is no. Gambit with a really nice approach. There's the adjustment from Gambit we were waiting for. It took a little time. But it ain't over yet. Seen it and Killer still here. He's just seen everything. He just sent it in. He gets red card, but Defo deals with Killers. And it's going to be 9-3.
And they get much more decisive. You can see right there's a plan almost from Gambit, and the first few kind of points on the checklist, it's within the first 15 to 20 seconds there. And they don't resort back to that slow default. There's no kind of progressive movement through the map here. And a much better, again, with how that played out, I think that's probably the best possible scenario in terms of the last round of that half. Let's not look at the scoreline so much. That's probably the best thing for Gambit.
It's given them a window of opportunity, maybe a little bit of rekindling of the faith that every comeback is possible for them. But 9-3 is a pretty stark contrast. Guys on the desk, what are your thoughts on the scoreline so far?
Thank you very much. Guys, imagine coming into the grand finals with this much confidence, Sean. A 9-3 start for Ascend.
Yeah, and the way they did it, they're treating Gambit like TL right now.
They are.
All of these rounds that shouldn't go their way.
Yes, वही लगता है मुझे.
This is so reminiscent of the split match. You have these rounds where Ascend's winning, then one quick round goes the other way, and then
जीतेगा क्योंकि उस टाइम में तू ही जीता था.
Everybody's stepping up.
इसलिए इसी जीतेगा.
For me, has just been such a big player. One
कर
to
दिया
the
भाई.
next. I
सब आ
thought he
जाओ.
was a weak point for the team.
सब
Oh
आ जाओ.
my word. And then you have guys like CNET just tearing the rest of the map apart.
He's hit some good off shots as well. Let us not forget, he's taken some forward aggressive positions that have been able to net him an opening kill. That has opened sights wide open for them, been able to crush some of the strategies of their opponents so far. So getting into half time and him being able to sort of work into these positions, and of course Bone Cold around the side. I mean, everyone is firing on all cylinders now for Ascend, and I'm feeling I'm sitting pretty, but you can't always count Gambit out.
Surely we have to talk about Zeke a little bit after that clutch.
I mean,
Come on,
round
that 2-on-4 was insane. 0.22 seconds on the clock, and then the next round he breaks the Killjoy lockdown with his molly.
अच्छा setup चाहिए भाई.
One round they win, and we're sitting there, Sean and I sitting there like, wait, they have an upper, they must save this. Zeke, boom, 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 and the round's over, and you're like, oh, maybe they don't save.
Yeah.
That's the Ascend pace right now.
I mean, similarly, a slow start for Gambit. We're used to seeing this as well, Jess. They've had a slow start a couple of maps, so not a bit too early to be worried.
Out of any team in the playoffs that could have a slow start, and I wouldn't be too worried about it, is Gambit. I don't fear too much, so I will give them an opportunity, but 9-3, that is a big round diff, so they're going to have to bring it back.
Well, they've come back from worse before. Let's go back into the second half and let's and see what they can do, Pansy and Hybook.
Yeah. The challenge is certainly now with Gambit to try and reinvent a little bit of what they want to bring into this, but it's hard to imagine a world where a couple of these pop-off rounds won't fall in with Ascend, but we wait and see, right? That's the beauty of coming into these games. That scoreline does make you nervous sometimes, right? 9-3, we've seen it before.
Ascend holding on to a lead on Breeze.
Oh, don't. Why have you done that? Why have you done that? Okay, all right. And I've got to highlight once again, though, Zeke is such a standout to me as of late. And Defo going to be dealt with. Can he be shut down in time? No, he still gets to fall away, but they're going to try and springboard off the back of this. Keep that pace high. Beautiful flash through, completely blind. Still got one on the way down. Defo going to be dragging them down to the grave, and 4 standing for Gambit. This is a shutdown. Ascend came in with a bit of a game plan, but it looks like it's been dealt with on all fronts.
Again, the setup is so good to greet this P hit. Almost mimicking Chronicle. Actually, we'll find the third there. A strong start for Gambit. Again, decisive of both sides, actually. See straight away Ascend as soon as that barrier drops. Swing through now. See. The one thing I'm looking for here, is particularly in these first kind of 2 or 3 rounds from Ascend, it's just the pace, right? In terms of what Gambit showed, again, no real surprises. Lots of those rounds were slow, defaulty, trying to work off information that Ascend just weren't giving to them. And we're going to have their head on a swivel to deal with Ascend on the attack. Oh, get curious once again. Keeler's there to greet him. He's actually walking out here. Yeah, we'll actually find Bone Cold.
This is nice from Gambit. A quick reply is what they need. Get themselves back on track to what they believe the scoreline should be, and this is the perfect way to do it. Do you think keep all 5 alive? Shadow's got himself tucked in the corner now. Killers isn't considering it yet, but Not exactly in danger either. The Spike still just leaning around that A side of the map, looking to see if they can catch anyone over-pushing, over-aggressing. Just don't see that really being a Gambit thing. Shados always so calculated in approach. Gonna fall away, keep himself to safety. And we look at what remains. CNED and Zeke.
We're creeping through here. Again, alarm bot on the other side. Turret as well, a little bit deeper. We'll give away the location here. Chronicle even really going to overextend a little bit. Actually, we'll find CNED. Second should be a given. Well, as I say, that Zeke sharp with that classic. Only one will fall. Rifle recovered as well.
This is a step-by-step matter for Gambit. There's a couple of key rounds that we'll highlight when we get to them. The buy rounds coming in, a couple of bits and pieces here and there where it can filter through. But this is Gambit's bread and butter, right? This is what we've now known them for, this capability to close back in.
And particularly with the 9-3, you look towards the first buy round, then that first ultimate cycle, right, which you look towards kind of round 4, 5 potentially. If things go if everything goes Gambit's way, that's when you start getting concerned, because those are the snowballing rounds.
Well, this is the first challenge, I'd say. If you get the bonus, you're laughing. But Gambit are going to stick on what they had. Defo does at least have the rifle. But, I mean, Chronicle's got to go. Spectre's a weak purchase up against the Guardians and the rifles coming out from Ascend. So, let's see what the damage looks like for Gambit here. And that is a belter of a start for Defo. Takes a head off of Keyless, but a quick culling right back. That's the rifle now lost from Gambit, as CNED's mid-presence still going to maintain dominance here.
Again, a good indication as well, it being Keyless. They know this is going to be the weaker side of the setup, but very quickly Ascend found a little bit of space. Bone Cold, can he avoid that? I don't actually think he gets spotted there.
I don't think so. Oh, you're playing dangerous games now. Shados is the one closest to the corner, but CNED's going to just check him, body check him down. Ascend now striding towards the sights. That's going to be pretty much all the danger removed from the site, and not much to really come from it. Nats and Chronicle, this wasn't an invested round though. If you look at what was coming through that defo, I mean, yes, he had the rifle, no one else had anything, really.
No. And again, he just wants to make most of it. If anything, playing much deeper than you'd maybe expect in the bonus, but no real contingency behind that. Nobody covering the possibility that Ascend had so many bodies bottom mid. Towards top mid, actually. Zeke will find another. Just one of his ultimate here, so whether or not they try and feed that kill over to Zeke. There will be, actually, yeah. We'll find his third. Ascend put their 10th on the board. Gambit now. Again, things almost level out in terms of the round timeline here. That's big for Ascend to kind of stop this momentum. Gambit now have to make the most of this buy round.
Yeah, this is when we talk about highlight rounds, key rounds. This is one of them. And obviously Ascend know that as well. They're very aware. Now, Gambit didn't go all that in on that last round. I wasn't eyeing it up too much. They seem to be happy to go in against the 10 rounds that will sit in the pocket of Ascend with the mere 5 of their own. But this is where it gets down to the nitty-gritty. We look at the op coming out for Defo. We look at the purchase. It's very robust. They're happy enough. Anything special? It looks pretty much like a kind of tube and your traditional APs, which does lean towards Defo as being the front man. He's going to find Zeke for free. Looks for a follow-up. There's no one there quite yet. You can see the vision. Just, oh, that got way too close. And Defo's feeling himself here. Pretty brave to be standing like this. What? Starzo walks in, makes the site his own, and Ascend just bursts through. 5 now alive. Zeke back on his feet. And it's Nats and Chronicle, who don't have much territory in this at all. And already look at that push-up. Keela is taking so much room towards that deep CT side.
Again, they've got to consider holding on to this.
That's a save in my mind.
Defo loses the op. There's no Blade Storm available. The next round for Gambit looks awful. Absolutely awful. Ascend going to keep 5 alive. I mean, actually, other than Zeke, there's not even shields that need repurchase in here. That is, by the book, the best possible scenario here. Keyless does give one away, but again, I think that's now given Ascend everything they need to know. They're saving, guys. Don't even risk anything.
Yeah, you're fine.
It's a bigger loss for Ascend to give something away here.
Maybe try, as I said, I don't mind Keyless giving it a try, and that's it. You draw the line in the sand there for the economy going forward. I am impressed with Ascend at this point. I've got to say, keep in mind, Defo had the first pick, was able to fall away, didn't have an instantaneous trade. But Ascend, their spacing looked good, that pressure looked good. I'm seeing that semi-finals form coming right on back through here in the grand finals.
Again, you talk about actually the other factors in here. Yes, they have the lockdown, but okay, Starzo.
Okay.
Just a pixel
Okay.
out of place. And again, the other thing is with Defo, there's no chance for him to dash away. With Zeke obviously popping that null command, there's the sort of round where the death ball around that KO wall is so devastating, especially if somebody, particularly a Jet with an operator, decides to kind of greet that. And it's almost like he's baited in by finding that first one. So they actually stick the res in the open. That's crazy.
And it's forced a timeout out of Gambit here, maybe to collect themselves, because we talked about pivotal rounds, that was one of them, and it was not a great look from Gambit. They got swept aside there. Honestly, if anything, an incredible look for Ascend. They've got him walking away, loving every moment of that, because they've been haunted on this map. They lost their last chance on this map. They got held at a strong lead and couldn't convert it. They got dragged back down, and a team like Gambit can absolutely do that to you. We aren't seeing it here. This is Ascend powering forward. And look, they look like a different team. They've grown. I think that's clear to see to anyone who was watching the previous events with Ascend. They used to be up and out of their chairs for literally everything. They've chilled it out a bit here.
And again, you talk about one of the big positives for Gambit, it's the composure, right? Me and Sean were having this conversation earlier. Coming away from that series yesterday is so exhausting. And again, with a team like Gambit, again, they start slow. Often they start slow and kind of warm up towards the end of series or towards the end of a map. But coming out of that, it's concerning to see it like this, though, because Ascend, if they have the opportunity to, I guess, just coast through the way that it felt that they did versus Liquid and play their own game, and I mean, everything is going their way right now. Every duel, every rotation pool, it's clinical. Again, actually a much wider spread here on this setup from Ascend, but they've already drawn this rotation again. Like I said, Nat's going to be the only one to try and defend a site here. We'll find Keyless, but actually we'll find Zeke as well. He's going to stop this one before it gets started.
And hey, if Defo can't do it, put Nats on the site and say, all right, bud, we need you to lock this down, otherwise we're done for. Spike left on his side, and the bullet just gives him a haircut. These three looking vicious. Cena does find Nats, but not without him finding another body to add to the tally. 2v4 isn't going to be easy. A lot of potential trades favorable as well. Cena still going to isolate Defo. And Bone Cold the last one alive. But this is a 1v2. This is far more feasible than it was before. Spike well within grasp, but Chronicle way too aware. Gambit close in again.
And actually, weirdly enough, that becomes a more pivotal round, right? Nat's one of the ones that hold on to that rifle from the previous, and he makes it absolutely worthwhile for Gambit here. Again, you can see right here on the minimap, Chronicle and Redguard both taking this rotation. Some real diligence shown on the side of Nats, and also a couple of kills to boot. Gambit will stabilize here. Again, 5,100 behind this purchase for Ascend as well. Again, this is the sort of round again. It's a buy round.
Look at the ults coming through. Gambit aren't far away either.
Well,
You're about to have that cycle hit.
Ult-wise, you want them also to build up the economy buffer here as well. So this first ultimate, I guess full ultimate cycle here for Gambit, absolutely crucial.
And that was essential before, and he might be again. Redguard and I think Chronicle sitting a little bit deeper. He's going to be forced to relent slightly from that opening peak that he liked to have before. The one player notices they made their way through. So they know the op's already out towards the site here. Redguard going to keep trying to filter that information through. And Ascend playing around just the precipice of the site. They haven't quite fully committed yet. And look at these rotations. If they're able to explore the rest of the map, they could find maybe an option. But there were 4 players posted towards this A site.
Yeah, that's it. I was going to say, a key engagement becomes Keyless and Redguard or Defo here, and she is able to find an angle through. Nats will be detected on site as well.
Yeah, they got to hit this site right about now. Chronicle trying to spam away, try and get some chip damage, but Nats is now surrounded. He's got players right, left, center. Ult comes in, and the plant going to be going down as well. Nats actually decides to get aggressive. Oh no! Nats unchecked is always deadly. Chronicle's got his side as well, and now we go into the last player standing. CNED, what do you got for us? Anything left in the tank? Absolutely not. It's Nats waiting. His patience pays. Gets the op and gets another round.
And that's a scary one. Again, with
he pushed into that.
Yeah. At that point, traditionally, you'd expect Gambit to go, right, give it up, guys. Let's play strength in numbers. We'll come through. But right there, they get ahead of the curve, ahead of the spike, even comfortably being planted here. I mean, look, Cold still, I mean, there's 3/4 progress there on the plant. absolutely insane stuff from Nats. Again, 2 rounds in a row now.
Get out of my way.
They've humbled the money. Ascend get kept on 11 for now. Gambit should be able to convert this if all goes to plan, which, hey, there's some pressure coming in through those double doors, and Nats, again, how many times will he be tested, and how many times is he going to succeed? He stands his ground, and he delivers. Nats, again, is refusing to move. He doesn't know when he's dead, and the last player alive is Bone Cold, and they just can't get rid of him. Gambit, 4 stand, and the gap gets smaller.
And we talk about it, this is when you start getting concerned for Ascend. When Gambit can build a little momentum, and that's it. They pump the brakes.
Yep, they have to, because if I'm a coach and I'm watching my team get held on 11, I'm getting nervous, because I know what happened last time. I've sat here and I've had to watch my team get stuck at this point. You have to address it now, because these side hits are finding nothing. Nats is just running you around, he's making you look silly. They have to find the answer.
I'm not sure what it is again with Gambit almost being there to read both of these. Again, that Viper's pick kind of being invested now implies maybe there's going to be a little variation to the setup. They might move Nats across to another site. Potentially Chronicle going to have a different setup here on the defense, but again, do Ascend come back to exploring B now? Do they see a little bit a window of opportunity almost with mid, because they came through double doors there, but again, the one player you don't want on the other side of a Cypher cage when you're flashing out of it is Nats, right?
Yeah, it's just stuff of nightmares.
No
when
access to site, right?
None. There's only one site on this map, and it's not where he is. So maybe find another way around. But now, though, this is when all that work and hopefully all that adjustment kicks in.
But this is, and again, you look back at the rounds that Ascend have won. Have they learnt enough about the setup? And actually, just come back to it here, we see exactly that. Nats and Chronicle now invested towards B site. Now, whether or not Ascend are going to poke a little bit on A, maybe not see Nats on the other side of it, and then think that there is an opportunity.
Yeah, but Defo can then overextend a little if he wants to, see if he wants to get a little aggy on that peak.
Operator Blade Storm is a big swing factor in this round.
And he's got Sky with him, right?
They might even try and flash into shop here.
I think that's exactly what we're seeing, which again removes a couple of options. Angles his. The shot was so close, but he's going to fall away. Defo going to just fall back a little.
But straight away, look.
And this now just falls onto Nats' his lap. He sat there, and this was the whole intention. They are running, they are forcing and herding Ascend this way. Now he's not alone here though. He does have a teammate with him as well, who will have support on this. It will be Chronicle, the dastardly duo.
This is crazy again, just that little bit of aggression forces Ascend to consider going elsewhere. They've noted the operator. Redgar's already looking to preempt this rotation. And they're walking into a really awkward setup here on the defense from Gambit.
And now they're like, oh no, surely not again. Surely this isn't what's happening. Look at the utility smothering them down. Nats is buying time after time. Can they finally take him down? No, they can't. Nats the immovable object.
No way.
Unbelievable work from Nats. And Ascend can't escape him. He's the final boss that they cannot get past. And Gambit have brought the scoreline so close now.
That setup is beautiful. The snake bites, the nano swarm. There's nowhere for Cena to dash onto site. There's nothing for him to do. They stall for 3 seconds or so, and at that point, then Gambit like we have the wall. Look at this here. There's literally nowhere for Ascend to push into, Lauren.
And this was all tailor-made for him to be there.
It was bespoke for this.
I love this. This is good Valorant, man. This is what it's about. These mind games between the two. The Prime came in flawless. Really just to signify the scenario that Ascend are now in. Sheriff's, Frenzies, Light Armor. Can they get anything? Can they find that weakness, that avenue back, that way to remove a player? That ain't gonna be it.
That's the one you don't want to remove at the start of the round. Unless you Gambit.
Gambit fans now.
Defo looks like he might even follow up on this. We hear the orb be retrieved, and look at that. It's a spike noted as well, so lots of information given. He's going to try and find something on the other side of the map. We have to see if he does find success.
अबे तू कौन है वो बता दे.
Still staring down the
कुछ नहीं बोलूँगा. तू कौन है? Hi.
Does actually deal with that.
Hi.
So
वो
again,
बता
good
दे तू
indication
कौन
here.
है.
Straight away hits this rotation.
तू कब से हाय भेज रहा है हाय गुड साइड मैं तुझे वो बता रहा हूँ कौन है तू
It's flawless again from Gambit, who are just striding through. And this is when we talk about their resilience, their capability, not just once or twice, so often to bring these scorelines back.
I'm pretty sure Nats was 12-9. He's now 24-9, which is just the most terrifying prospect ever. And again, like you said, this is literally Gambit setting up Ascend. They're baiting them into some of these rounds. And they keep biting. They keep biting.
They don't know what to do to get around it. Timeout comes in from Ascend. They need this map. In my mind, it's not just it being the best of 5, additional maps coming into play. It's the mental game.
Map 1 is so huge in a best of 5. It absolutely
100%.
is.
And we already know this about Gambit, and I do want this to be taken really on board, that they are so capable of these comebacks time and time again. Their unwavering faith in the in-game leadership, the coaching, the plan, whatever it is, it's just, the resolve is flawless. And Ascend have sat there on 11. And they have not gotten...
For a while.
Yes, they have not gotten close. And if there was just any other map as well, any other scenario, I wouldn't be as worried because it's a best of 5. But my mind does go back to that 100 Thieves game that we were mentioning earlier, where they got stuck on a scoreline very similar to this and could not get over the finish.
No, they really couldn't. In terms of closing out, it's huge versus a team like Gambit. Because, like I said, if they find momentum, it's so difficult to overcome. Because you come back to the things we discussed. Actually, Ascend were doing well on the defense. The variation, everything that Gambit are able to do on the defense, it's almost like you get to round 6 or 7 and you're back on your second or third buy round and you think, okay, well, do we actually know what the setups are? What are the indicators that we can kind of adapt to? And Ascend have none of that right now. Again, they play deep enough once again to basically negate Zeke's early round utility. And they'll lean back towards what feels like looking for a pick, but set up here from Gambit, they're not going to give one away.
Let's say they continue to explore through elbow, up middle. It's going to be Nats again, isn't it? Maybe a quick lean comes in from someone like Defo, or, I don't know, Redgar comes across, who knows. But at this point, once again, they look towards B.
Interesting thing here will be if they can make use of this utility ahead of null command. There you go, actually it's popped straight away and immediately see the Nano Swarm to try and buy a little bit of time. And Chronicle will find it.
But he pushes into this. The confidence is just uncontestable. And Nats is the back line and he is not going to fall away. Nats has just destroyed them. You can't run and you can't hide. Nats is right there every single time.
I can't believe they've just done it again. That's a 5-man hit that Chronicle and Nats are able to completely shut down with the null command. And like I said, there's a window of opportunity where you have to make use of this utility ahead of the execute, right? Particularly we talk about, this just comes down to gunfights, right?
And look at the synergy between these two players.
Chronicle bails out and Nats is like, cool, I'll pick up the slack.
Yep. I'm right there. And you can see it between them. In perfect synergy in the switch up. And again, Nats is on the A side. He's everywhere they want to be. This is literally like a nightmare. They don't know how to get away from him. A quick underhand flash, but look at this Bulldogs. Light armor. They don't even have the full kit and caboodle. They're working with less. An aggressive posture as well from Defo. He's taking space elsewhere.
And again, if they note this, if Defo finds a kill, it's going to force them back towards the site they don't want to hit.
And I love how they're using this though. Defo on one side taking a bit of space. We saw it with the flash
so
before.
much map control here.
And now let's see if he can keep this sort of presence though, because it's tricky. He could get punished. And actually gets away with his life, luckily and surprisingly. 35 HP, can filter away, doesn't get punished for it. Shados there just to try and facilitate that escape plan if he needs it. And well, they've decided maybe B's the site to go to, as that's where the op is, I guess.
Again, Wall not invested yet from starter. He's got his Viper's Pit, so it looks like they are leaning towards a B hit once again. Again, they're very cautious. They're trying to figure out where Defo's repositioned to. Kilos might even try and bait a little contact here at double doors.
Yeah, but they've got an early rotation as well. Chronicle's coming over, and I quite like that. Defo's got himself popping out the ult, and that still finds one! No matter what they do, Ascend can't do anything! They are left without an answer! And it is just a clean sweep from Gambit, 5 alive, bone cold, presented the impossible, tries to make it happen, and Gambit take the lead from Ascend.
Without breaking a sweat. Honestly, some of these rounds are just, they're played so well. And like you said, the synergy in the buddy system that Gambit's able to invest around Chronicle and Nats so often. Again, Chronicle, he's so sharp, and he has been the last few days. Again, you think back to that ace on Bind, and wow, I'm speechless. Ascend once again now staring down the barrel. I gotta say it, fumbling a big lead on Breeze.
Yes, absolutely. And half of me, you do have to look a little bit towards what Ascend are doing wrong, but it's so hard to take it away from what Gambit are doing so right. Nats and Chronicle, to me, this duo is just undeniable brilliance in every aspect of it. Defo, again, has the Seekers to set him up. You're gonna have the ult coming in. Nothing seems possible for Ascend.
Well, Viper's Pit, A-site. Nats is gonna hold on to that here, whether or not see Gambit readjust. Defo is once again.
Now that's a good pick though. Zeke finding Chronicle is actually pretty important. Maybe this is a chance.
एक बार नाम बोल दे चैट पे
Deeper and deeper, finding new ways, and if they keep leaning back this way, it's a very real possibility he catches one of these players. Looks like he's going to spot Keyless pretty soon, and he does. He finds Keyless, and oh, he just got a glimpse of a second. 100% confirmation that they are eyeing up this side of the map. He can fall away and buy a lot of time. They don't have to over-rotate.
Well, again, the fact that it's Keyless on him, knowing how Keyless plays.
कितना
See here, Shadows actually doubles down.
मेरा वो
Looks like
नहीं
Ascend still
लगा
want to try and
यार
navigate their way past this Viper's Pit onto A.
Good luck. Because we know who's there. Redgar this time holds across. Zenith finds one. Redgar sprays in. He gets one connection, but it's still going to be Nats, who finally gets denied by Starzo. There's a chance! And he gets ripped away. Redgar! It's 10 seconds! It's over! 13 to 11! The nightmare resurfaces for Ascend and Gambit. What a turnaround! From that halftime score, they looked flat. It looked all perfect for Ascend. And then, once again, the Iron Giants made their appearance.
Gambit हर गया
I gotta say again, even personally, I think there's been lots of people saying we haven't seen the Nats from Masters 3. We haven't seen the Nats from earlier on in the year.
Sure.
Starting off the grand finals, Nats and Chronicle again. This guy's been putting up MVP-worthy performances. That right there, the duo for Gambit. Single-handedly in some of those rounds, it was on the back of those two players.
भाई साहब
Look,
nice
I
kid
love seeing that Chronicle and Nats combo. Between the two of them was beautiful. Zeke had a great performance. Zenith was not quiet either. This was a good-looking Ascend on the first half.
It really was, and again, you think back in terms of control, in terms of having their finger on the pulse. Ascend felt as if they'd adapted perfectly to Gambit, right? The side switch comes in. We're back in a scenario we're talking about Gambit looking 10 times better on the defense than they do on the attack. Which again, you think, well, that's fine, right? It doesn't even matter what happens in the first, because once they stabilize, once they get a lock on the economy, this variation on defense for Gambit is just so difficult for Ascend, because the early rounds are so one-sided. They learn nothing from some of these losses.
This is only map 1. We have a best of 5 grand final in front of us, and if there's anything to go by, it's going to be one of the best we've ever seen between these two. Gambit bringing out all the stops, nothing left to hide, nothing left to, shy away from, and as you said, Chronicle, Nats, headliners in this. Let's head to a break so the desk can jump in and talk you through everything we just saw.
भाई रिजील का भाई ये गया बे ये अबे इतनी गंदगी भाई ठीक है भाई तो भाई हमारा चेहरा दिख रहा है ना क्या चेहरा है माँ हाँ अभी ये रहेगा कोई अबे यार ये कपड़ा बन गया अबे रुको गाइस
Ascend had a great start, but Gambit, they had an even better second half. They secure Breeze after yet another comeback. I'm back on the desk with Sean, Riv, and Jess. This is a theme now. It's starting to become a theme for Gambit to have a slow start and Jess, but in the end, they close it out.
I did say at halftime, I was like, you can never count Gambit out. Out of all of the teams in the tournament that I touted to be able to come back from something like that, it was Gambit. And I don't know, maybe sometimes I have a positive curse, maybe I have a negative curse, whatever aura I have, I'm sending it to both of the teams because this is awesome.
Yeah, and this is where the mental strength of Ascend is truly tested.
Yes.
I mentioned they weren't really tested in that Liquid game. They weren't playing from behind ever, besides that first best of 3. Now the tables turn. This is Gambit in the driver's seat all the way in my eyes.
What blows my mind is Gambit is literally probably still reeling from the night before Ascend had some time to regroup, find themselves. Gambit's like coming back, going down off the adrenaline just to pick it back up, and it did not seem to phase them. And Nats back on that scoreboard. He's all we could talk about at Masters 3, and he wants that again.
Yeah, he was very ratty, you know, back to the ratty natty we've come to know and love. Sean, him and Chronicle, they just, the sheer speed in which they killed everybody on the side of Ascent was insane.
Yeah, here's some numbers from Nats' game. 337 ACS, plus 19, 4-0 in First Bloods, 217 damage round. He just dominated the second half. This is a game where his team started behind 3-9 and he put up those numbers.
It's not even just that. If you put the Chronicle and Nats duo upon which that map was dominated in the second half by, there was 4 2Ks from Nats, 4 3Ks, and you looked at Chronicle, he had 6 2Ks and his own 3K. They were popping off in the multi-kill department, and every round, especially, it didn't matter what side it was, but the kill feed was raining blue, and I was like, this is a tsunami, and they can't escape, there's no oxygen, they're being suffocated.
I knew Ascend was in trouble when I looked at Yinsu, and I noticed Zeke had his null command, and I said, oh my gosh, Nats is positioned so deep right now in defender spawn as a counter to the null command. He's way past the distance of this ability, and he dropped the molly to support Chronicle, and the hold on B was flawless. This game is over. Gambit has everything ready.
I mean, they just killed them all. It was like almost crew-esque, right?
Yeah.
Where everybody didn't even have time to plant because by the time they got onto the site, they were already dead. But that's going to be very, very scary for Ascend. I feel like the saving grace of that, Riv, is the fact that is Gambit's map pick. So, you know, it's not the end of the world for Ascend.
Yeah, that would have been the leg up for Ascend if Gambit didn't come back on that. Ascend really being able to carry themselves great on their attack halves, it seems, but losing their footing when it seems like they were playing a Gambit's game, right? They stopped playing their own. They started saying, well, wait, how can we stop X? Instead of rolling the map like they want.
Oh,
This is just stupid.
I was going to say, I was speaking about the Nats Chronicle duo and I was talking about
dear.
those multi-kills and whatnot. Please let us not forget that Chronicle went on to a bit more of a comfort agent in this map as well. And of course, Nats, he was where we expected him to be. And I just think that comparing them on the screen, don't do that. Just know that this duo was what pushed Gambit over the line.
Yeah, that was silly looking at the stats. But we also saw some silly stuff on the side of Ascend as well. This Verizon high-speed moment goes to Zeke with this clutch. In round 4, we're going to have to cast our minds, Sean, all the way back to the first half of the game.
Yeah, and this was such a pivotal moment for Ascend early in this game. This is what gave them the massive advantage in the first half. Riv said, you get that one round, and Ascend just immediately wins the next one to reset your economy. Gives them all their ult set up, and it's what started the 9-3 half.
How do you fall so far from that, though? It's so interesting to see Gambit can still find those powerhouse shooters as well as play the map to always be in the face of Ascend. Yes. We heard it multiple times from Pansy and Hypoc that Nats was always there, whether he was at B, whether he was at A, he was always finding the right spot.
It's like the solve is, we just don't go to their site, but he's everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, at what point do you just give up on that game plan as well? But speaking of Nats, let's take a look at one of the most important aim lab shoot rounds we've had as we prepare for map 2. Nats, we always make these jokes, but give us your sense, your routine, everything, Sean, because this guy is turning up when it matters.
Yeah, imagine your controller and Sentinel player being able to aim like this. Just people coming through a molly taking double damage when this guy's aiming like this. They're all dead.
You know what I said on the pre-dash that, Nats had sort of speculated that he might have to reinvent himself. He might have to change the way he lurks. Well, he did on this map, but he did it in such a way that instead of being known as that dominant lurker across the map, he decided he would lurk inside smokes. He would lurk through screen. He would get right up in your face, and rather than doing these long rotates and flanks, he said, I'm just going to meet you in the middle, and that's my brand new identity. So hope you enjoy it because I'm going to be inside smokes.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to talk about Ascent now because they can have slow starts, it's okay. They know how to come back. But Riv, when you get onto Ascent, especially after some of the performances we've seen them already on this map, they really cannot afford to have a slow start against Ascent.
Absolutely, because when you see how Ascent plays out, you can be right up front to those sites. You can have instant hits, and Ascent can take control and create the tempo of the game. That's what we see them love to do. I brought up the Omen earlier. The way that they play with that allows you to play faster. We probably won't see it here as that's the switch up in agents, but the way you can attack Ascent, Gambit has to be ready because Ascend love to play it fast.
Riv, promise me that we see a duelist in the Gambit comp.
Oh my god.
No,
Can we get the Sky
Omen,
for
please.
Defo?
Omen, please. I beg for the Omen,
Just need
man.
a single duelist.
I am a little bit apprehensive because I had a chat with Redgar yesterday after the game, and I did ask him why they didn't run the duelist, and he said that their composition was specifically worked up in order to counter a KO.
Okay.
Now,
Zeke?
the likelihood of us seeing a KO is pretty high, but maybe they do change their game plan today because, Sean, it just didn't work yesterday.
Well, they gave us a different look on Breeze, so based on what you just said, I'm thinking Gambit's running it back with a no duelist comp, and I think this is a mistake.
Oh,
they
please give me
failed to
Omen.
create so much. They failed to create distance.
If they do run that comp, they're on defense first. That's have multiple Sentinels, the no duelist comp on.
Oh, they
Yes.
changed it. Okay, they went back
Shadows
to
takes the Sky.
yeah, they went back to what I think maybe should work a little bit better this time around, Jess.
Oh, I mean, I'm just devastated. No Omen. Also, throughout the groups, I got no Phoenix. I'm sitting here just wanting one of these, niche picks to come up and make a huge difference because let us not forget, Omen wasn't the worst pick, but I think what they've picked here is good because you get your dual list. We're getting a couple of flashes to go with, and I love Astra on this map and many maps, so I think it'll work well, this composition.
I mean, with this new comp, Sean, how do you counter the KO here? What do you do?
Oh, it's going to be very difficult for them to counter the KO, and this is something actually that Gambit dealt with at Masters of Berlin. You go back to when they played 100 Thieves, Steel had a lot of success on the KO on Ascent against Gambit. How have they changed since those moments against KO? That's what we're going to have to find out now because they're running that same comp.
Well, Ascend, they need to win here if they want to pull the series a little bit closer in their favor. Let's jump into Ascend here with Pansy and Hypoc.
Yeah, let's jump into it indeed. We do have something that I really want to initially talk about here as well, is seeing that KO and now seeing Nats from map 1 looking fantastic. But we also saw what happened against X10 when he got targeted so directly.
Yeah, literally. In so many rounds, and actually testament to how Cruz actually played that. I said it was one of the best performances from one map alone that we've seen from KO. So a lot of this rides on, again, potentially countering Nats, right? We've seen, obviously, slight adjustment on the composition, so maybe that leans towards a little bit more of comfort on the side of Gambit, but I think it's as well with Ascend. They're probably going to have watched that and just thought, hey, actually,
this works.
Why don't we just try pushing Nats?
That's crazy.
You think map 1, did that work? Not so well.
Well,
Not
now
so
you know,
well.
you got to rekindle that faith, right? You got to kind of bring yourself back together. And it is map 2 time. If you're just tuning into the grand finals, Gambit picked up map 1, and could you believe it, in a comeback fashion as well. And Ascend, hey, they had the lead and they dropped it. And you're right. What is going on between these two? It's so quick in towards that A site. And already we're going to see that pressure towards Nats. He's going to be kind of dealt with towards Stree for now, but he's still got a gun in his hand. And that might be just enough for him. Yeah, good luck targeting this man. He'll do it all with that target on his back. As Starzo now left in the 1v4.
That's a red guard set up 3. We'll find the first, actually the second as well from Starzo. That's fantastic work. Defo actually will swing through with Shados. They find it. And again, Ascend, try and pump a little bit, try and bait a little presence, but Gambit proactive on the defense. We don't see this very often from them. It's not often they go looking, they go hunting for a fight here, particularly in the pistol round, but again, diligence-wise, nobody considering the possibility. I think actually Zeke finds Nats in tree, and nobody considers the possibility he's going to swing out of the smoke. It's almost, you want them to follow up on that utility. They're relying on it on a little bit of a, I guess, a complacent hold on the side of Gambit.
I don't think we've ever put the words complacent next to the name Gambit, have we?
No.
A little bit of a switch up in positioning as well, I'd say, with that Astra playing towards the A site, even on tree, though we still saw how well prepared Nats was. Now a bit of a trade out. And hello, Bone Cold, finding Defo, and now we've got a player advantage towards Ascend. How do they work from this point onwards, though? Can they draw these rotations? Can they find the right place to be? It looks like B might be what they desire, but on the other side, we know who's there. Chronicle waiting. Spectre locked and loaded. Has a quick glance. Sees nothing for now. Does he get any information off this?
Yeah, good timing on that, though, to use the Aldrone. He's now got his recon bolt again, so potential here if he's given an audio
so alone,
cue.
though. Shados is all the way in spawn. Now the contact's made. He has to buy a little bit of time. Just the last piece of utility put to work just before he backed away. Confirmation of 2. And there's that lean through from CT. Nats is en route as well. Chronicle, good for the double. The triple not quite as Bone Cold carries on forward. That's the Bone Cold that we know with the Sheriff. And is there any more? Shados, a 1v2, Spike not down, 20 seconds to play with, as Bone Cold trying to be the protector, the bodyguard on this, but has to slip away, sit deeper on the site. It gives a second, and that might be all Shados needs. A quick flash and a peek, pushes in, and Bone Cold, that is the man with the Sheriff. It may not be on the Omen, but he's still damn good.
I said this earlier, you give him a Sheriff and any round can look winnable for Ascend, and right there finding 4 kills. And an opening as well, you see straight away. They drift back towards B. And at that point, you think Chronicle, yeah, the recon bolt, the Aldrone uses, the timing's perfect for it. He actually still had 2 shock darts, I'm pretty sure. It goes for the gunfight instead, not able to buy enough time. And unfortunately, in terms of rotations, they get picked apart.
This is a huge turn of events, though, just from momentum alone. Ascend desperately needed that. What is that? Look at the info. They just scurry and get out of there like little rats escaping the ship. All noted, all seen. And I like a stack. Look, I'll absolutely back that every day of the week. If you're on Sheriff's Classics, you're trying to make something happen out of nothing, why not give it a go? But for now, this will be, hopefully, clean enough for Ascend, and there's the dash, and actually, Killis is fully white, fully blind. Bone Cold needs to be careful here. They can cross this corner if they're feeling themselves. The rifle is in, but they just play as numbers, play as the pack. They're 3v3, there's no way this gets more dangerous. Okay, Spike's going A. Okay, it's okay.
Somehow, it's
okay.
a 2v2 though.
It's okay. That's fine. Oh, he's got his ult. Okay.
Confirming what they already know. 2 rifles retrieved for Nats and Redgar. And actually, Zeke looking to get a little bit aggressive at the time, and the flash is going to be good for Redgar at least, but can't close it out.
It's whiffy. It's really not that good. Zeke needs to fall away. He's bought a little bit of time, but it ain't much. Still with another flash, though, he should be able to do some work and play CNED in potentially. But they do have rifles. Here's that flash underhand, sends it in. Timing is everything. CNED set for success, gets one on the crosser now, down to Redgar, and it's CNED to keep things just about in check, but
thank God for that.
I mean, they found 3 players there, took away those rifles, going to force out the reinvestment. This is a damn close game.
And the important thing, the stack's detected so early, but still they don't commit the spike, right?
Yep.
They do just on the off chance that Chronicle goes huge again and stops that B-side hit. Again, Zeke, a little bit whiffy, but the information's there early enough.
Yep.
Cena can kind of just tuck in and wait for that peek out, with Zeke being a little lower HP-wise. So, I was worried that for a little bit right in there, but they come in at the last second. Ascend showing presence towards A. Defo just brazen in the swing there. Cena will punish it.
That's a big amount of information coming through. Shados gets a freebie and a nasty one. Shados hasn't seen anything and he's still finding them. 2 huge kills, and it's just CNED keeping this one looking potentially likely. The 3v3 presented and they got no ground. They have to peel away with the spike for now.
So again, Bone Cold invests the Hunter's Fury there, but no information gathered on the back of it. Chronicle will be spotted there. Look for Bone Cold now to potentially re-aggress towards short, but the Cosmic Divide will go up just to lock them out of A site for the time being. Ascend will wait this out.
You don't walk this, do you, Bone Cold?
Surely not.
You wouldn't do that. Maybe in timing with this, though. Yes, you
does.
do. When CNED plays in, he moves through the divide. Great timing, the push and the pull, taking the eyes away from the prize. The spike now has to get towards the site. Spike going down. I don't think anything's going to stop it. Chip damage enough. Killers is going to respect that and fall away to a new post-plant position eventually.
Spike planted.
They're pretty early on though, Keyless. Wise to it. Nat's now the last man standing on 1v2.
And there's the contact made. They now know the position he's working from. They try and stay as a pack, but it's still Nats. One side, going to be one, the other on the other. This is just lovely work. And you see Ascend had to really keep check on that. You drop that ball for a second, you allow him that 1v1. He might have exploited it. But Ascend, a lot of things presented there, and they actually succeeded against it.
Absolutely. The awkward thing becomes if Ascend now try and revert back to a slower default and try and poke, because Gambit are showing willingness to greet Ascend, whichever side they. This is, I think, the 3rd time they've shown a little bit of presence early round on A, and this time around they do follow up. It's looking like another stack towards A here. Again, a Spectre, 2 Spectres, sorry, invested here for Gambit. Ascend just going to try and roll on through.
Yeah, investing in the other divide as well. Going to allow them safe passage. Yes, they'll be noticed already on the camera, but that'll be just fine. That's not really the biggest bother. I think they've seen a fair amount.
Yes. Figured out exactly where half of Ascend are here, and the reaggressors 4 comes through B main.
Let's see if we can keep it looking lush as ever. Starzo and CNED in perfect unison, leaving just Redgar, and I think he's already been well and truly discovered. They're lining him up, and they're knocking him down. Ascend going to keep things chugging forward. But look, after the first map, I can't think it's ever over.
How much do you read into this now? Looking at the start of Breeze and how comfortable Ascend looked, how much do you take away from these first 5 rounds?
Yeah, I've never watched a team where it's always felt so possible for a turnaround to happen. Now, the economy kind of got shaken up a little bit by the conversion of the second by Ascend, then we saw that kind of stack almost work out. The money's been actually kept relatively humble, obviously a little bit now building in the bank for Ascend. But I want to see what Gambit do now with a decent purchase. Big information off the back of the flash, and Zeke gonna now try and power on forward. Takes everything he can with him, but now on the other side, Defo. Oh, there it is. Good shot from Defo. Comfortable enough, but it's not the only one here. And actually, Killers, what? He unleashes himself. 2 huge frags, keeping Gambit at bay. And is now down to Chronicle. Locked out, blinded, has no chance for now. Has to rescind for a second.
tagged out as well. He's going to look to follow up on that information. Just to slow him down a little bit as well. Chronicle not an awful lot he can do in this scenario. Looks like he will peel away, try and hold on to this rifle. Again, it's so difficult for Ascend to maintain this pace, this level of aggression, right? Because just one round, Gambit can switch up. We know Nats likes to rotate, and some of these fast hits can get completely shut down by one trapwire, an orb shot from Defo. So far, at least, since starting as they mean to carry on through this half.
Yeah. And just exiting as a pack, keeping as many of these weapons in hand as they can.
They're looking for a big adjustment on the side of Gambit here. Not necessarily in this next round, we'll have to look at the economy, but they need to stop some of this momentum on the side of Ascent. Whether or not they start exploring mid, maybe greet some of this presence towards Catwalk if Ascent opt to go this way against Keyless, man. Just I love this though. They're moving with intent. You can see how eager they are to try and close out that tag with the Owl drone. Gambit actually going to call a timeout here to potentially consider some of the things we've been discussing.
And there's options aplenty. I don't think this is worrying times yet for Gambit. We've already seen that in the first map anyway, but even just at this scoreline, I don't think there's any problems. They have a deep enough strat book, even just at face value, that we know that they have options in this. I think something that's a little different to my eye, at least, is that it's actually Bone Cold who's having a bit of a moment here. We've seen pretty much everyone else from that side have some really big impactful rounds, you know, some influential games, but Bone Cold's been kind of the quiet leader. And now he's kind of leading from the front a little.
Yeah, and that's a big positive. You talk about maintaining pace and keeping up the pressure. When you have a player that's not always reflective numerically, when you look back at some games, it's always a big confidence booster to have a player like that come online. Again, seen it. I don't want to say he had a quiet map one, but in terms of the second half of that, he wasn't able to achieve an awful lot on the attack. Again, Defo shutting down a lot of those with just simply rotating. It's really difficult when you're kind of getting battered back and forth and completely locked out of sides, where you then have to next buy round, you're exploring where the operator is. Makes it really, really tricky.
And we talked about the money, just last round, that it wasn't masses. Now it's starting to really get robust. 5.3, 6.3, plenty of credits now sitting behind this buy for Ascent. For Gambit, it's odds and ends.
And actually, this is key here in the anti-eco.
You should run.
Ascent will show a little presence towards mid. This Fury will actually deal with the lockdown here. Oh. Yeah, Defo will find one with the shorty. Quickly traded out though. And find an opening towards A. Actually, Starzo close enough to hear the sound cue. We'll find the first, Redguard will fall, we'll find the second as well. That's the last man standing.
Okay, not much damage done. We talk about maybe chipping away at it, forcing them some repurchases. Nothing.
And at this point, it doesn't mean an awful lot either. The 5-round deficit.
And Defo's been quiet. So actually, most of Gambit have been. Nats unable to find much impact just yet, and it's night and day. But again, 3 rounds is all they needed on the first. This, though, looks a little bit more commanding. And again, when we look at the map choice, this does sit like you'd imagine Ascend should be able to get across the finish line on this. And hopefully that then opens up the entirety of the map pool, get a full best of 5.
Hopefully.
Would be nice.
Because the next one's a bit of a curveball as well.
It's a bit weird. We'll talk about that when he gets to it as well. But into this one, Seekers do come through and confirm they need to get a bit of a wiggle on. Most of the players eyeing up that B site. So the duo who surprised us, Chronicle and Nats, hitting such high notes on map 1, could do with a bit of that now. They actually peel away.
So on the back of the Aldrone and the Seekers here, you can see Cena will actually get picked off there, but Redguard and Shados have pushed up so deep towards A. You can see him pinged out on the minimap.
Are they going to
actually.
check this? They have to check
Starzo
this.
knows exactly where they are. He's pinged them on the minimap.
But I still want Bone Cold Zeke. If they even start trying to play towards middle, really trying to address this, even with just a swing, this is not what I wanted. That's a disaster in the making. And now he even predicts the push-up as well, finding Starzo. Shados has just dismembered this hit. Oh, Redgar as well. That's the Gambit you need to find form.
And again, if they can pull this off in a couple of these rounds, these flanks coming through will create so much paranoia for Ascend, especially on some of these fast hits. They can't continue leaving these huge gaps on the map.
But you were right, though. It was pinged out, right? Like, that was...
Straight away. And you talk about contingencies, especially when you're playing this quickly. Star's obviously playing a huge role in terms of being on the Astra. He can be very late behind some of these executions. But again, the way they come out of tiles there, you think, has he only heard one, potentially?
Is it just just be careful? I don't know what the call is there, because as if when I see that ping, I think, okay, they're going to at least do something. It's like another utility was put towards it. And I was like, okay, well, maybe that's them just trying to show that they'll then maybe double swing it, do something to address it. Nothing really came out. So time for maybe a little bit of a get your heads back into the right space, keep focused. Now they need to keep this moving for Ascend. If they let off the gas for a second, you know that gap gets closed.
Again, Gambit showing hints of being versatile as well. We don't often see them overstep on defense. They don't like to get too aggressive in terms of pushing out all the way. I mean, that's invested. There's two of them. There's two members that they're looking to flash through mid. They're looking to catch this rotation or this kind of pivot away from B main. And it works perfectly for them.
Yeah, what a great read on that. What a timing to put it out as well. Timeout will come to conclusion. We said it, 3 does get a little unnerving. However, it's only 2 right now, so they could be just fine. Right?
Surely.
I'm looking at, I think it's Defo and Shade also towards that B site. I wonder if they get a little proactive on it, but it is at least a light test looking like an A piece for now.
Again, Nat's key in this scenario. He's not looking to get suppressed on site. He's playing deep towards tree for him to swing back into bail Redgar out if this hit comes through. It's then creeping closer and closer, and it's looking pretty committed.
Yeah, the rotations are kind of in though. 2 players already swinging past CT with that deep play coming out from Defo. They feel pretty solid about this, and Nats wants to get in towards it. Redgar already going to spray through. Good for 1, finds Killers. Nats tries to thread the needle. Zeke all too aware this time. Fell for it before, not twice. Shadows from Redgar might have to respect this now, fall away from Tree, because you can already see the counterplay coming out from Ascend. They want to get aggressive right back at him, and Zeke and Starzo find 2 kills in quick succession, putting such favor by their side if they can get this spike down. Defo.
He's thinking about it.
He's really considering this. It's time to go. Gave it a damn good attempt, but careful now. He's seen it, was ready to get involved as well. Not to be. They back away and look for the next option, which actually isn't a bad shout, but the door gets shut in their face.
Defo had to swap off that operator to make it a little bit easier on the way back in. And nothing to work off though. 2 smokes for Defo, but you see Ascend set up to greet them here.
Clears the right corner with the spray through the smoke, but it's 2 sitting at very favorable angles on the left side. That's going to make it very tricky. Can't get it done, and now Chronicle caught by Zeke, and another big impact round from the man himself. 3 still stand, and Ascend pick up where they left off. 7-2 now.
Actually, credit where credit's due. Gambit read that perfectly after not feeling any pressure on the side of B-Main. I'm not sure if actually any of Keyles's utility is noted. Actually, did actually eat that flash on the way out. As you can see, Gambit tried to swing out of the cage. Try and reduce the numbers on the side of Ascend. But like I said, Gambit read this perfectly. They're set up in the right place, but unfortunately just a couple of engagements not going their way, and we're back in a scenario now after that 1 round win. It's almost torn apart. There's 1,800 credits behind this purchase for Gambit. Redgar's on a stinger.
Yes, doesn't sit well, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No. And now Zeke's got ult as well. CNED has his if he fancies it. On the other side, no masses of intent to read into early. Still going to try and find some of that information. You can see the dog being invested over towards that B site. Going to push up. Don't know if it caught a glimpse. It might have done on Bone Cold if it did just turn in time, but I don't see anyone rotating to support that.
So the big indicator there is if you see Redgar or Nats, where again they're trying to counter Zeke's ultimate here with how deep Nats is playing. He wants his trap wires and his spy cam available for this execute.
Okay, Defo, Shados, now going to be suppressed and have to just have the gun in the hand, and that's going to be the good pick on the first. The follow-up, Shados! Quick as lightning, fighting 3 and sending Ascend right on back. Defo wants to take that space, and this is brutal work from Gambit. That site's all theirs. Bone Cold and CNED I wouldn't want to go through there again. It's just a grinder.
30 seconds left.
Oh, there's no way in. There is no way into this. 23 seconds now. 4 players here. Plenty of utility. Shadle still has 2 flashes if he wants to just keep buying time if he wants to. There's one. Just let them know, yeah, they're still around. Don't overpeak it, boys.
10 seconds left.
Got to give this one up.
There it is,
That's
walk
right,
on in.
right.
Only gonna get 1, and 3 seconds left. CNET still gets Redgar, but it's gonna be 3 on the board.
Great adjustment. Fantastic read once again from Gambit. Those trap wires would have been huge if they could have got past the choke point, but Shados stops them at the front door. Massive from him. Again, the first kill is Zeke out.
A third. Dreamy work.
This is interesting though. Zeke's investing into an operator here. Not sure if that will be cycled across or whether or not he's just going to go for an early round peek here towards top mid.
Flash.
Nothing on the other side of it though.
I don't think Gambit have really been challenging through middle like this. This hasn't been one of those like, oh, Defo's making a lot of impact here. It's been...
They're losing these rounds on the rotate. They don't need to fight for mid.
Yeah. And speaking of rotate, you can already see the lean back towards that A site. I don't know what the tails are, but it looks like a good read again.
Confirmation there, yep.
Yeah, they're going to be happy with that. That's going to be at least revealed somewhat. Position now considered. Do they adjust off the back? Do they decide to go back towards that B piece? For now, the 4 players in middle looking for the start, and Redgar already going to deny it. That was the kind of split working towards A, and this again keeps telling these concepts of this. Oh, jumping on the cross, Zeke! What is Zeke trying to do with this? He's getting now out of it.
Actually, you can see Sender stacked up here. The trap wire will confirm CNED's entry towards B side.
But it's so geared for a retake, and Zeke looks
They don't even
just
need to retake.
flat. Yeah, Chronicle's doing just fine already. The door was already shut, and Nats was on the other side of this. If it was going to be a walk through B, they'd have been aware and maybe hit that rotation through CT, but as you said, they didn't need to go to that mode yet, so Bone Cold now. You going to do anything for us? Not really. Shados
Hey guys,
shuts it out, and I've got to say, that was... I feel like maybe Ascend trying something that wasn't needing to be addressed.
No.
मुझे लगता है ये बस हो गया आज के लिए भाई. कल स्कूल है. रुको 1 मिनट रुको. ये कब रुको 1 मिनट. हाँ मेरा इतना लाइव स्ट्रीम हैंडल नहीं करता और इतना ये भी नहीं करता, इसलिए अभी बंद कर रहा हूँ लाइव. और मैं क्या बोल रहा था, वीडियो सेंगे अभी मोन्टाजेस। अच्छा अभी मैं अनरेटर का शुरू किया है मोन्टाज बनाने का। ये मोन्टाज ये बॉडी मेरी कहाँ पे चलो 1 मिनट, तो चलते बाद में मिलते हैं, तो बाय बाय।